Do you follow any celebrity gossip?
Not really. Sometimes something gossip-worthy will just happen to someone, like a celebrity that I'm already interested in, like something scandalous will occur, but I'll generally try to not stick my nose in too much. They don't need it. I don't need it. And also, like, I don't know, a lot of times gossip is like negative stuff, and it's like, why would I want to bring my own mood down?
So you don't get enjoyment out of gossip like most people do?
I don't think
I shouldn't say most people. I haven't polled America.
Yeah, no, most people are trash.
That's the butter no parsnips opinion.
We're the only good ones.
Welcome to Butter No Parsnips. Every week on Butter No Parsnips, your hosts Kyle Imperator and Emily Moyers take you on an adventure through the weird, wacky, wonderful, and sometimes even wicked world of one wayside word. Strange characters, delightful bits, and general joyousness abound. Join them as they test each other's etymological expertise.
Hey! Everybody, welcome to Butter No Parsnips. I'm Emily Moyers.
And I'm Kyle Imperator. And boy, Emily, do I have something to gossip about today with you.
Oh, is it word-related?
It is Ward-related.
Absolutely. Ward-related?
Ward-related. It's Burt Ward-related. It's not. But it could be if you draw a lot of connections. Emily, would you like to know what your word is today?
I would love to know what my word is today.
Emily, your word today is Zaftig. Z-A-F-T-I-G, Zaftig.
Oh, wow, boy. All right, so my immediate thought is German? Or
not exactly.
Germanic?
Kind of. In a roundabout way, sure.
Interesting. I don't like that answer. As for part of speech, I feel like I just have no clue. Adjective?
It is an adjective, yes.
Something is Zaftig.
Yeah. What about it made you say adjective?
I don't know.
Just had that feel.
I guess. It doesn't look like any part of speech. It doesn't look like an English word.
You will soon see why.
Yeah, that makes sense. Can I know the language of origin?
It is Yiddish.
Whoa. Okay. Okay. Can I get a hint, please?
Sure. Emily, your hint today is Dolly. That's capitalized D.
Okay. All right. So I just for context for the audience, all of my thoughts are Dolly Parton related. I don't know if that's the sense that you meant it, but any logic I go is going to be in a Dolly Parton direction, so everyone knows. Mm-hmm. And I'm also thinking about gossip, because that was the question. All right. Zaftig describes...
Go for it, Em.
Well, I keep thinking like 9 to 5 and then like office gossip. So does Zaftig describe, I don't know, like water cooler talk? You'd say like Zaftig talk?
No. But that's I mean, I like the connections you're drawing.
It's real loose. I'm at such a loss here, Kyle.
Zaftig means of a woman having a plump and sexually attractive figure, voluptuous, well-proportioned, full-figured, buxom, large, and sometimes can be a euphemism for fat.
Boy, we were right before we started recording. You are going to be canceled this week.
Time to cancel Kyle.
I also just want to say that when you said, Dolly, that sort of a meaning was one of the things that crossed my mind. And I said, well, it wouldn't be that. Kyle wouldn't be that crass.
Kyle's not looking to jump the shark this soon into the podcast. He's got to at least have 3 more words in him before he quits.
He's got some scruples.
No, Emily, scrupulous I am not. So, Emily, Zaftig, like many of our nation's finest words, comes from Yiddish.
It does. Once you said Yiddish, I was like, that makes sense. That feels This feels like it could be a Yiddish word.
The Yiddish word Zaftig, with a K, could also have both a positive or a negative connotation towards women. So it can mean like juicy or succulent, or it can mean fat. But it originally referred to food being juicy, succulent, or tasty.
That is better than women being described as succulent.
Yeah. Well, I got bad news for you, Emily. We're not going to talk about that really at all today.
Cool.
Outside of the origin. So, Zaftig comes from the noun Saft, which means juice. And that comes from the Middle High German Saf or Saft, meaning juice.
Wow. So it literally is juicy.
Yeah, from Old High German Saf and from Proto-West Germanic Sop, meaning juice. Goes back pretty far, huh?
I mean, I guess we've had fruits for a while and we've been juicing them.
It's true. They had those automatic juicers way back then. Juice cleanse diets back in the ancient times. It ultimately comes from the Proto-Indo-European root sab, sop, or sep, which means to taste or to try out. Emily, can you guess what botanical word also comes from this root?
Oh, what's the root again?
Sab, sop, or sep.
Oh, a botanical word?
Mm-hmm. I
have no idea.
It's way more obvious than you're thinking. Just pronounce sop a different way. S-A-P.
Soap?
S-A-P.
Oh, sap.
Sap, Emily. You got it without any hints.
I was like, how can you pronounce sop differently? It's just sop.
Soup? That's a kind of juice, right? That's meat juice.
Well, they've also been making soap a long time, so it made sense in my head.
It's true.
Kyle, you are just coming after women today. Get out of here.
I'm going to come after men too, Emily. Don't worry.
Okay.
So, yes, the root, sab, also brings us sap, which makes Zaftig a doublet of the word sappy from an obsolete sense meaning juicy.
Look at that.
Yeah, it traveled from the Proto-Indo-European root through Old English, sap, with an ash in it, meaning sap or juice. Then sappy, full of sap, succulent, juicy, and then the Middle English sappy, meaning having lots of sap.
Ash is the AE one, right?
Yeah, the AE one. Emily, you got another question for you. I'm full of questions this episode.
That's, it's fun for me, because then maybe I'll get one right.
This is just an open-ended question, so you're going to get it right. Yeah, you can't lose. What do you know about Yiddish?
Uh-oh. I mean, I can certainly name a lot of Yiddish words, but I don't think I know anything about the language.
Yeah, that's fair. I barely knew anything until I started doing some research here.
I'm trying to think, does Yiddish, so like we talked about like Semitic languages, like when we talked about like the Abgad and all that stuff.
Yes.
Does that connect, or is this a different language branch?
It is a different language branch. There are some Yiddish words that have like Aramaic roots, but I think those came separately.
Yeah.
I think
sold
those
separately.
came through like Hebrew texts. Yeah, sold separately. Batteries not included. So Yiddish is a West Germanic language that was originally spoken by Ashkenazi Jews in Central Europe, and it dates all the way back to the 9th century. It's a pretty old language.
It feels old. It feels like it has weathered the sands of time, you know?
I think you're thinking of the Prince of Egypt, Emily.
Like in a, like it has withstood the passage of the years.
It truly has. As we've already worked out, it stems from High German, and in fact, the term Yiddish is a shortening of the Yiddish phrase Yiddish Teich, which means Jewish German.
Oh.
Yeah.
But we cut off the part that is German, so it's just Jewish?
It's just Jewish.
I'm speaking Jewish.
Basically. Yiddish began to flourish in America when Ashkenazi Jews began to emigrate here from Germany and Poland in the mid to late 1800s. So before then, most of the Jews in America were Sephardic Jews, which is a different branch of Judaism. So the language Yiddish became a point of connection for Jewish American immigrants from different countries. And it thrived especially in places like New York City. And by 1915 in New York City, the city saw a circulation of 500,000 daily Yiddish newspapers. That's how important the language became. Yeah.
That is crazy.
That is crazy, isn't it?
But like you can still see it today. Like New Yorkers use a lot of, I mean, not a lot, but we have a handful of Yiddish words that are just, we all just use.
Yeah, exactly. So it became so ubiquitous that it started to influence non-Jewish Americans, and Englishes like New York City English became filled with Yiddishisms, which are just Yiddish words taken from the language and plugged into English.
Heck yeah. And they're all good words.
They are. Can you think of any?
Schwitzing is sweating.
Schwitzing, yeah, that's a good one.
Oh, there's so many more. They all just ran out of my head.
Wow.
They're gone. There's so many.
Are you schwitzing now?
I am. I'm schwitzing. I know so many. Hint me some, and I'll get them.
I'm just going to tell you some, Emily.
Yeah.
So, klutz is a Yiddish word.
Oh, I didn't know that one. That's a good one.
It means, obviously, a clumsy or stupid person. And it comes from the Yiddish klotz, which literally meant wooden beam or block of wood. And it was used figuratively to mean blockhead or oaf.
That's fun. I thought of another one, kvetching. It means complaining, right?
Yes, kvetching does, yeah. I do a lot of kvetching on this podcast, in fact.
And in life.
Yeah. Another English word of Yiddish origin is chutzpah, which is a fun one.
That's a great one.
It means nearly arrogant courage or utter audacity. And it comes from the Yiddish chutzpah, meaning audacity. And that one, like I alluded to earlier, comes ultimately from Aramaic, haspah or hasep, which means to be barefaced or insolent.
That is fun. Although, Kyle, I think what you meant to say was chutzpah.
Yeah, chutzpah.
Oh,
chutzpah.
Okay. You got it.
It's hard for me to do that. Chutzpah.
Yeah. So, like, my family is Jewish by heritage, and, like, no one in my immediate sphere are practicing Jews, but, like, in terms of throwing Yiddish words in sentences, they are passionate about it. So chutzpah was one that I heard.
Leo Roston's popular 1968 dictionary, The Joys of Yiddish, distinguishes, it's a great title, right?
Bob Ross wrote that one, right?
Yeah, Bob
of Yiddish.
Bob Roston. The book distinguishes Yiddish words used in English, what he calls Yinglish, but has also been humorously called Hebronics, which is hilarious. He distinguishes Yinglish from what he calls Ameridish, which are words coined and used by Jews in the United States separate from Yiddish. One of those words he suggests is shmagegi, which is another word for idiot. But the distinction is a bit foggy between, what was originally coined in America and what comes from Yiddish.
Gotcha.
Roston deftly defines Zaftig in his book in a single sentence, and you're going to love this sentence, Emily.
Okay.
He says, Zaftig describes in one word what it takes two hands outlining an hourglass figure to do.
Wow. It like took a second to like visualize in my head.
If you add in a wolf whistle, that helps. And a wooga. So understandably, Zaftig is often used in lurid celebrity gossip.
Oh,
right? Yeah,
like
here's the connection.
Contemporarily?
Yeah, surprisingly.
Wow. That's crazy.
So the example that I have is the word was bandied about. There's also probably some like Semitic tropes here too, but the word was bandied about during the Monica Lewinsky scandal.
Oh.
One editorial entitled "Why We Should All Get Down on Our Knees and Thank Monica Lewinsky," which is a great title for an editorial. It described her as unshackled from sexual modesty and constantly celebrating her Zaftig sensuality.
Wow.
Yeah, wow, right?
Yeah.
Emily, get comfortable because it's only getting worse from here. So there's a historical context for using Zaftig like this, Emily. And it dates back to the earliest written instance of Zaftig in English.
You keep saying this like you're trying to really get me excited. Like you're a teacher being like, hey, I'm reading this book. It's going to be so fun. I know it's 600 pages, but look.
You're gonna love it.
You're gonna love it. Pay no attention to how old and ancient this book looks.
So the earliest written instance of Zaftig in English was a New York City tabloid paper called Broadway Brevities and Society Gossip.
Okay. I'm
you ever
ready.
Heard of this paper?
Absolutely not. Have you?
Of course not. Yeah, I used to read it. I was a longtime subscriber. I was a brevity bro. I was not, just for clarity.
Just in case anyone wasn't sure.
So, Emily, Broadway Brevities was a lot of things, okay? First and foremost, it is both self-credited and widely seen as America's first national weekly gossip tabloid. It launched in 1916 and ran until 1925, and we'll get into why it closed in a little bit.
Okay. It closed during the Roaring Twenties, which is crazy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And started during World War I?
1916. Yep. It's just insane. The whole thing is insane, Emily. A piece in the February 1921 edition of Brevities, which was entitled Chicago Jottings, and written by their, in quotes, special correspondent, which I'm thinking was just, they pretended to have gone to Chicago. I don't know. But the article declared the city hornswoggled up over the actress Sophie Tucker, one fine Zaftig gal.
Hornswoggled up.
Yeah. It goes on. It mentions the politician Dorsey Crowe and claims he gets all head up over Sophie and darn me pumpkins if another young squirt by name of Fred Barnes don't do the same. Wall bagosh, your correspondent has got to say that she just don't notice nother of them much, and they're sayings round she's to pack her dud soon and hike to New York.
Kyle, how is it that you always manage to find a quote like that?
I don't know. I just attract them.
I've already forgotten every word you said because none of the words were words.
That's fine. Sidebar. The actress they're talking about, Sophie Tucker, I looked her up to see if any of this was true. And she admits in her autobiography that, yeah, she did have a thing for the politician Dorsey Crowe. And Sophie Tucker was definitely a Zaftig woman. And she was the inspiration for matron Mama Morton in Chicago.
That's so funny because they'd mention her in one of the songs in Chicago.
Exactly, yeah.
I won't say it because there's a curse in it, but it's a funny line.
Yeah, it is a very good line. Another column in Brevities outlines rumors in the form of questions from the editor. It's like a long-running thing that they have in their issues.
Questions from the editor?
So, for example, one of the questions, it's like just a list of questions. And so, like, one is, why did Agnes slip Billy under the table the other night at the P Royal just after he had asked for the check? You know, it's like, gossip, but through like, oh, did you hear about this? Oh, what about this? Why is this happening? Can't this happen? Stuff like that.
Interesting. It's like they've like Jeopardy'd it.
They've Jeopardy'd it, yeah.
You must answer in the form of a question.
What category is this, Emily?
It's Broadway Brevities and...
Society Gossip.
Yep, that's what I said.
Okay. The column calls two other actresses Zaftig that same year. In May of 1921, they write, "And have a heart and tell us, where is Zaftig Ingrid Zanders? The suspense is killing us." And in December, it writes, "Isn't Diana Allen getting very Zaftig?"
Getting very Zaftig. I feel like you can't use it in that way. Like to describe a woman who is already, that makes sense. But to say like, oh, she's getting awfully Zaftig, that feels like it doesn't work.
Remember that it can also be used as a euphemism for like heavy, for fat.
Yes, but I mean, I don't know, just the sound of it, it doesn't sound like it makes as much sense grammatically when you use it that way.
Perhaps that's why they italicized it in only that line.
Yeah. I do like, though, when you just say the Zaftig Ingrid Sanders, it just makes it sound like that's her full name. Like she's got 3 names.
The Zaftig Ingrid Sanders, yeah.
Or that's her title.
Yeah. So naturally, Emily, Brevities was also the most scandalous magazine of its time.
Absolutely.
In the mid-20s, Brevities ran a 13-part series entitled A Night in Fairyland, which worked to out closeted gay and lesbian celebrities and their debaucheries in New York City.
Yeah, now you've gotten from bad to worse, buddies.
It was very homophobic.
Good.
But also,
Great.
in its sensationalist detail, it was very accurate.
I don't know if that helps or if it's worse.
I don't know. The historian Will Straw says that it was so thorough that many of the writers must have been queer themselves, and that queer people probably read Brevities to find the best parties. He says, you could take the episodes of Nights in Fairyland and publish it as a guidebook for gay tourists in New York.
Hilarious.
Yeah, isn't that wild?
It is wild, but I feel like still bad.
Yeah, I mean, definitely not good. So, yeah, I mean, it was scandal-laden, right?
Yeah. Is that what got them canceled?
No.
Okay, I was going to say, I feel like in 1920, whatever, it wouldn't.
So it was 13 parts because the paper was canceled. It ended its run in 1925.
Gotcha.
And that's because its editor, Stephen G. Clow, who was remembered in one column as the originator of saloon journalism, which is a great title to have.
What is saloon journalism?
It's, saloon journalism. Come on, Emily, saloon journalism. Good. So Stephen G. Clow was convicted by a United States grand jury after an equally scandalous and highly publicized trial. You ready for this, Emily?
No.
It's no wonder that he was convicted, because Clow once described himself to Time Magazine as the most famous and wicked blackmailer in world history.
Oh, wow.
Can you guess what he did, Emily?
Blackmailed somebody he shouldn't have?
Yeah, a lot of people he shouldn't have, Emily.
Oh, good.
Turns out that he had been using Broadway brevities to blackmail important figures, such as Broadway producer Lee Schubert or the yeast magnate Julius Fleischmann, by mailing threats demanding that they advertise in his magazine, or else he'd use it to publish damaging information about them.
Wow. Just like stepping out onto such thin ice, my dude.
Yeah. Remember, first gossip tabloid ever.
And went after producers and business magnates.
Yeah. And this is basically how every tabloid, I assume, has been run since.
Yeah, and how anyone that has gone under has gone under.
Has gone under, yeah. So after serving jail time for 2 years of his 6-year sentence, Clow was released and then brought brevities back 2 more times, both times becoming less journalistic and more sensationalist, with innuendo-laden headlines like, "Queers Seek Succor," Pansies blow US and big balls popular.
I mean, sex sells.
It, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on which side of this story you're on, it all ended in disaster.
I'm really rooting for this guy.
Yeah,
I think everything he's done is good. So
really spot on guy.
So please
fella.
tell me that it has a happy ending for him.
No, it ended in disaster for him. He was arrested again in 1938. He had taken brevities to Canada, which is where he was from, and started running it there, and then was arrested in Canada, and then died penniless in Bellevue Hospital. Not a good hospital at the time. 3 years later, and no one stepped forward to claim his body. Real sad ending for him.
But hey, you reap what you sow.
You reap what you sow. Absolutely, Emily. To tie this all back to Zaftig.
Please do.
Like its Yiddish predecessor, it can also refer to food as plump, juicy, or full. You can think of like a Zaftig steak or a biscuit, right?
Sure, I wouldn't describe a biscuit as juicy.
But full, plump, ooh, it's, a loaf of bread, something like that.
Yeah.
Or a Zaftig can also more generally mean rich, pleasing, or full. Think of like a Zaftig orchestral sound or a Zaftig bank account.
Sure. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But Emily, The Joys of Yiddish offers one more take on Zaftig.
Oh, right. That was the book. I thought you were just coining a phrase. The
joys of Yiddish. The whims of the Yiddish language. There's another definition that Roston offers for Zaftig, and that's provocative, seminal, or germinal. And so, in a sense, the tabloid that started America's fascination with Zaftig women and gossip tabloids in general was truly Zaftig to its core.
Wow, to its core.
Emily, that's Zaftig.
Boy, I mean, great episode. A lot of interesting dives into history and tabloidism.
Tabloidism.
I assume
the
that's
language
the
of
study of.
Sure. Yeah. Tabloidology.
Tabloidology. And it is a good word, for sure. It's a good word when it's used politely.
Politely, yeah. Well, Emily, here's your chance to use it politely. Can you use Zaftig in a sentence?
Heck yeah, I can. Ready? Here I go. And in the episode, it's going to happen right away.
I hope so. If it doesn't, oof.
Okay. All right. Hey,
You got something?
This one,
good.
folks, is a true story. Tonight, I ate an absolutely delicious stew made of Zaftig steak topped with a Zaftig biscuit.
Beautiful.
It was delicious.
I'll take it. You took the cheap route. You took the easy way out.
I used it in the two ways that you just used it. But it was genuinely what came to mind. Probably because I had just heard it.
Wonderful, Emily. Well, are you full from your Zaftig soup, or would you have room for a game, perhaps?
I'm not quite Zaftig in that way. I have room for a game.
Wonderful.
I am Zaftig in another way.
Emily, your game today is called English Schminglish.
Amazing. I'm excited.
So I'm going to give you some definitions from the Joys of Yiddish, and you will have to tell me the word that Roston is describing. Okay?
Okay.
So your first definition is to drag or pull or lag behind, as in, don't blank all those packages, let the store deliver them, or they blanked me all the way out to see their house.
This is another word that my mom uses frequently, if it's what I think it is. Schlep.
Schlep, Emily, you've got it.
Yep.
Nice job.
I probably used daily in my household.
It's a good word. Schlep comes from the Yiddish schleppen, to drag, and it's from or related to Old High German sleifen, to drag, or slifon, to slip.
Interesting.
Your next definition is something trivial, worthless, insultingly disproportionate to expectations, as in, I worked on it 3 hours, and what did he give me? Blank.
Oh, I'm sure I'll know it when I hear it, but
I've got hints for you if you need them.
I think I do.
And this is through the words of Roston. He gives rhymes.
Bubkiss.
You got it. Emily. Nice. Wow.
What a relief.
Emily, you're making your heritage proud.
There we go. Get my grandma to listen to this one. She'll be overjoyed.
Yeah, bubkiss, Emily. Do you know where bubkiss, like what the Yiddish bubkiss means? Bobkiss?
I don't. Does it? I assumed just nothing.
No, it actually means sheep or goat droppings. It comes from the Proto-Slavic bob, which meant bean, because the droppings looked like beans, little beans.
Wow.
The book says that it's used like peanuts. Bupkis. You know?
That's a hilarious to use peanuts as a touchstone, because we don't really use peanuts in that way anymore.
No, I mean, it's
so
from
now
1968.
It feels like peanuts is further away.
Yeah. Roston says, the man who exclaims bubkiss is a man who understands the place of pride in the protocol of humiliation.
Excellent.
This last one, I think you can get it too.
I gotta go 3 for 3, you know?
You gotta go 3 for 3. The definition is an inexpensive, unimportant thing, as in, he gave her some blank or other for her trouble.
Uh-oh. Oh, I really want to get it without asking for a hint.
If it helps, it's not a great hint.
All right, then I'll take the not great hint.
So he gives rhymes for the words to help you pronounce them.
So
and the rhyme that he has for this is botcha.
Huh.
We might, in English, in New York City English, might rhyme it with botch-e, maybe.
Tchotchke?
Yeah, tchotchke.
Oh, yeah, it would be tchotchke. Yeah.
Tchotchke, exactly. Yep.
Wow, I didn't know that was a Yiddish word.
It's a Yiddish word that comes from Yiddish through Polish, from the Polish word tsatsko, meaning bauble or trinket.
Or matham.
Or matham, exactly. Tchotchke had like a million other definitions too, Emily.
Really?
It did, and amongst them, a tchotchke could be a cute female, a pretty little number, or it could be a sexy but brainless broad.
Oh.
Maybe a Zaftig one if you're lucky.
All right, everybody, I hope you enjoyed Kyle's last episode. Thanks for sending us off with a good one, Kyle. We'll have the new guy in next week.
Oh, you're welcome.
Well, thanks for that. And hey, everybody, remember that you can find Butter No Parsnips on social media, on Facebook and Instagram at Butter No Parsnips Podcast, and on TikTok at Butter No Parsnips. And if you like today's episode, consider giving us a 5-star rating or review wherever you heard us.
And if you really like today's episode, consider donating to our Patreon at patreon.com/butternoparsnips. Donating $5 or more earns you a shout out either on social media or here on the podcast.
Thanks so much to all of you. You help us make what we make.
And with that, I've been Kyle Imperator.
And I've been Emily Moyers, and this has been Butter No Parsnips.
Butter No Parsnips is produced by Seth Glicksman, Emily Moyers, and myself, Kyle Imperator. The main and accompanying themes were composed by Kyle Imperator.